The NFL Divisional Round playoffs are here. It is week number 2 and we are just 2 weeks away, 2 games away from the Super Bowl. Very, very exciting times ahead. You know, I went okay in tipping last week. I actually didn't put out a video, but I did change my tip of the Lions. I just thought the Detroit Lions, something at home. You know, it's been a long time. I did change that tip, but I did get the Philadelphia Eagles wrong. Did pick the Texans for the upset, and they did upset the number 1 defense in the Browns. There's some great matchups this week. There's some surprising matchups this week, and of course, I fell for that Dallas trap. But let's get into the NFL Divisional Round pick.
To entertain house.
Starting off with the Houston Texans heading to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens have been fantastic and have finished with that number 1 seed in the AFC. They rested all their starters against the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 weeks ago, losing that game with their backups, and then they had the rest due to getting the number 1 seed. Now they're back at home, where they've been very, very good at home this season. They've also been good on the road. They've been a very consistent team, and they look like a team that can go, you know, to the Super Bowl or all the way this season. But what's going to stop them? You know, a young quarterback playing with so much confidence, and their O-line looking really, really good. You know, putting up 40 points against, as I mentioned, what they call the best defense in the league in the Cleveland Browns. I expected Texans to win, but probably not by that scoreline at all. But man, they're looking good. And, you know, opening drive for CJ Stroud, he's just come out, and they're a scary team, the Texans. They've been slept on all year, and, you know, it's been a great season for them, but they've got a very tough opponent on the road here, and if they win this game, how far can they go? Are they a legitimate contender, or is the NFC going to be too tough for them, or the team that they play in the AFC Championship? I think here I like the Baltimore Ravens just a little bit more. I'd love to see the Texans do it, but I think the running game of the Ravens is going to be very hard to be contained by the Texans. I think CJ Stroud's fantastic rookie season comes to an end. I think this game will be closer than people think, because I've seen this market around that 8.5, and I'd actually be on the Texans 8.5 here, because although I think the Ravens will win, I'm going to go the Ravens to win by 6. The Texans can put up points. They're a competitive team. This should be a high-scoring game, but I do see the Baltimore Ravens getting the job done here. Lamar Jackson is going to be announced as the MVP next week, and I think he advances to the AFC Championship. You've got the San Francisco 49ers, the number 1 seed in the NFC, taking on the Green Bay Packers. Now, we've seen this matchup in recent years, and my God, the Packers offense, man. I'm not even going to take away that the Packers took off their team and Dallas kept on their team, and they were up 41-16, I believe, going into about the end of the third quarter. You know, it was a dominant performance against Dallas, and it was a typical Dallas choke. And this Green Bay team, Jordan Love is playing with confidence. He actually threw and completed very similar yards, almost the same, to CJ Stroud, 2 rookie quarterbacks. It was really, really cool to see that in their first playoff game. Jordan Love balling out. They've got some of their injury players back as well for the Packers, so everything looking good for them. And the 49ers, it's interesting because I don't think they had the greatest end to the season. However, they did rest players there at the end. They were also smacked about at home by the Baltimore Ravens, so bit of a dark horse for this game, isn't it? But I think that the 49ers will be too good here, and I think they'll win this game well and show just how much of a threat they are. I think the Packers have had a fantastic season. They've surprised a few people. I don't see the Packers pulling off the upset here. I think that the 49ers have too much strike across the park. I think their defense has to step up in this game, and I think it will. So I'm actually going to go with the 49ers to win this game by 19. Something like a 33-14 kind of scoreline is what I see for this one. But yeah, I think that the 49ers will advance to the NFC Championship, deservedly so, and I think they'll do it in style. Next up, you've got the Detroit Lions, once again at home, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Bucs, I said weeks ago that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they make it into the playoffs, they will go on a deep run. Here they are now in week 2 in the divisional round. They're one game away from the NFC Championship, a team that everyone doubted coming into these last couple of weeks, and I was all over them. But man, the Detroit Lions offense is so good, and they can put up points in this game. They are at home as well. They've now got their first playoff win in 32 years. Their confidence is skyrocketing. Their fans are with them. Their team is playing good. They were, to an extent, lucky to get that win. As good as their offense and defense was fairly good compared to recent weeks, Matthew Stafford did have an injury throughout that game, and it was a very, very tight contest, but the Detroit Lions got it done, and Jared Goff absolutely balled out at home. And I think that's what he'll do again here. I know Baker Mayfield has absolutely been cooking over there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the combining of Mike Evans, there's some lethal threats all across the field for this matchup. But I think the Detroit Lions are going to advance to the NFC Championship game. They've had a fantastic season. They've broken this drought. Their confidence is skyrocketing. And I think that the Detroit Lions will win by 11. I'm going to go something like I feel like this should be a very high scoring matchup. This is probably something like a 20 to 31 kind of scoreline. But I think that Jared Goff is going to lead these Detroit Lions to a place that they haven't been in a long time. And I think they're going to the NFC Championship to take on the 49ers next week. And then the last game of the week sees my Kansas City Chiefs head to the Highmark Stadium, the home of the Buffalo Bills. Now the Bills, as I mentioned, it's been this absolutely fairy tale run, trying to win their first Super Bowl as well. It's massive for the Bills fans on what they've been able to do this season, and it really is crazy to see this matchup once again, the Bills and the Chiefs. It's always a great matchup, and we seem to match up with them every year. And now we have a great record against them, don't we? A really good record. We saw an amazing game 3 years ago between these two sides, between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen, I just want to say, had a fantastic game against the Steelers. His rushing was great, and I think that the fact that he didn't throw an interception for him is so confidence boosting coming into this game, because Patrick Mahomes has a better record, has honestly owned Josh Allen in recent years for the most part, especially when it comes to the playoffs. Now the Chiefs, their offense for mine looked a little bit better last week, still hasn't looked great, but the defense, man, defense can win you Super Bowls, and the Chiefs probably should be advancing to the AFC Championship if they play like they did last week in those conditions against the Dolphins. However, in saying that, the Bills have Stephon Diggs, they've got Dawson Knox, they've got James Cook rushing. They have some absolute machines that are getting jobs done, and either of these teams going to the AFC Championship is deservedly so. I would say the Bills slightly deserve to be there more than the Chiefs, but I tell you what, Patrick Mahomes has been in a Super Bowl a couple years ago against Tom Brady, crumbled under that pressure. Now in a situation where the pressure is going to be there in an away game, first away game in a long time, if not even in his career, because we've had so many games at Arrowhead in the playoffs, but because we finished lower than Buffalo, this game is in Buffalo. This is going to be one hell of a game. This is going to be tough. This is going to decide who goes to the AFC Championship. I've had a long, hard think about this game. I've gone back and forth. I'm going to tip the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are deserved winners for this game. I hope the Kansas City Chiefs can pull off the upset, which I think this is a coin flip game. I don't even think it's an upset. I think you flip a coin and that's who you pick, because the form of the Chiefs, especially recently, has actually been quite good. As I mentioned, defense wins your game. You got Harrison Butker scoring points, easily kicking field goals. Just need to do more in the touchdowns and the rushing unit. And receivers need to catch. That's the issue with the Chiefs. But for the Bills, I think everything's working for them. Dalton Kincaid had a great game last week as well. Their defense is starting to step up a lot more. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this one by 4. I think it's a tight game, but Buffalo are going to win this one. I think it's going to be something like I feel like it should be high scoring. I'm going to go something with I don't know how many points the Chiefs can put up though. So I'm going to say that this score line will be 24 to 20, something like that, 24 to 20. Even though I do see it being higher scoring, I wanted to go 24-28, but I think 24 to 20 is a pretty fair score line. And yeah, I think both of these teams are going to throw it all on the line, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs season is going to come to an end in Buffalo as the Bills beat them, advancing to the AFC Championship. Those are my tips for the divisional round of the NFL, guys. You'll see me next week for the NFC, AFC matchups, and then again for the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let me know your picks in the comments. Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs can pull off the upset against the Buffalo Bills? And yeah, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you guys later.